Okay, welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. I'm Nathan. If you watch my show, you're in my corner. Today's episode's a post-fight for UFC 211, Miocic versus Dos Santos for the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the World. And then the co-main event, we have a UFC women's strawweight title fight with Miocic and Jessica Andrade. Yeah, this was an amazing card top to bottom, especially the pay-per-view main card. Amazing. So yeah, this is a post-fight of the main card, and let's get started. So the main event was for the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the World, Stipe Miocic defending the belt for the second time against former UFC Heavyweight Champ Junior Dos Santos. And wow, this fight was pretty much what I expected to be, fireworks from the start. Stipe did his thing, and I called it too. However, I said on my pre-fight show it would be a second-round knockout for Stipe. I was not expecting a first. That came out of nowhere, and it was 2 minutes and 22 seconds into the first round. It was pretty impressive by Stipe. Junior came in, strong and wanting to win this belt, and I think he legitimately tried to stop Stipe pretty early on. However, I feel like Junior Dos Santos has become kind of stagnant, where he's become real predictable. He's still talented as ever. However, when you go in as an opponent against Junior, you know what you're getting yourself into, and you kind of know what to train for and how to counter it at this point. And it's just a matter of, are you talented enough to counter it? And in Stipe's case, he is. So yeah, Stipe, TKO punches, first round knockout, pretty impressive fight. He got Junior up against the cage and then just teed off on him, and then that's all she said. Then in the co-main event in the strawweight division for the title, Miocic defends the belt for the 5th consecutive time against Jessica Andrade, and this was pretty lopsided. It was a points match on strikes. The first round, Jessica landed some heavy shots, but still she was no match for Joanna's combination striking, where she was just landing good combinations left and right and really mixing things up and not staying too much in the pocket too often with Andrade. Wow. This was 50-45 on 2 of the judges and 50-44 on 1 of the judges. I don't know if I would give the 10-8 round in this fight. I think every round was pretty much 10-9. However, the right person easily won this fight, and it was a good win, big win for Joanna. She now has 5 consecutive title defenses, which, let's see, so she's behind Anderson Silva, Demetrius Johnson, George St. Pierre, John Jones, Aldo, and Rousey. So this puts her at, I believe number 7th all time for consecutive title defenses. So she's on her way to becoming a Hall of Famer and one of the greatest champs of all time, easily. And I think she has her hands full with Rose, assuming that's her next opponent. And yeah, this is going to be a great fight for her in her next fight, assuming that's it. Then in the welterweight division, also in the main card, we had Demian Maia versus Jorge Masvidal. Demian Maia did his thing, was just hanging on to Masvidal, making him do whatever he could, which, it was Demian Maia putting on a grappling clinic on Jorge Masvidal and getting Masvidal to try to guess on how to get out of this whole mess. And Masvidal, he had Maia on his back, and Maia would get him on the ground and then get his back again, and it was just a good grappling affair for Demian Maia and a good win for Demian Maia, and really puts him in that title contention after having so many consecutive wins in a row against the likes of Carlos Condit, former UFC interim welterweight champ, and other major stars in the welterweight division. Yeah, this was pretty much a grappling match all the way through. I disagree with the judges. This shouldn't have been a split decision win for Demian Maia. I think it should have been 30-27 decision win for Damian Maia. However, the right person won the fight. Then in the featherweight division, we had Frankie Vancer Edgar versus Yair Rodriguez. Man, was this a brawl or what? TKO doctor stoppage after round 2 because Frankie Edgar used that killer wrestling of his and just ground and pounded Rodriguez for 10 minutes straight. And this was a pretty intense match. I mean, I was feeling for Yair at this point. I mean, I wanted Yair to win, and I was rooting for him, and he's a great guy. And Frankie deserved this victory. He came in with a good game plan and executed it and looked great doing it. And yeah, he's definitely in title contention at this point, beating a top 10 guy this easily like Yair. Yeah, Frankie just kept pounding out until after round 2 the doctors had to stop it because Yair was too beat up. And I think they could have let it go to round 3, but I think it would have just been more of the same thing. So, I mean, you could make an argument, but at the end of the day, I think Frankie won this fight fair and square. I think we can all agree on that. And yeah, Frankie's in title contention definitely for sure in the featherweight division. Then to kick off the main card in the middleweight division, we had David Branch versus Krzysztof Jotko. And wow, a lot of people picked Jotko in this fight, but I picked David Branch because David Branch, man, this guy won a middleweight title and a light heavyweight title in another major MMA organization and defended both. You know, he would alternate defending the belts, and then that organization just apparently gave him some issues, and then he left on maybe not the best of terms. You know, who knows? That's between them. However, he was able to find his way back to the UFC, and this wasn't the most impressive win for David Branch, and it wasn't the biggest name. However, it was a win to get him back. It was a win in the UFC coming back in. So this really this keeps him afloat. I think the next match will definitely be a game tester. I think he'll have a bigger opponent for his next fight, a bigger name opponent that is, and I think that will be a good proving ground. I think David Branch definitely doesn't have to worry about the grappling of any of these guys in the middleweight division. The striking and maybe the wrestling could be another issue, but I think David Branch's striking has gotten significantly better since his first run, and his first run really wasn't that bad. He went 2-2 in his first run. People forget about that. And yeah, I have high expectations for David Branch. I think the world of this guy's fighting abilities, and I think that he will he will have a decent run at the very least in this second run of his in the UFC. And so yeah, he won by split decision, and I think it was a good call because he did land the takedowns. However, Jotko did land some good strikes in the stand-up. But overall, I think the takedowns of David Branch is what got him the win here, and justifiably so. Yeah, so that wraps up the post-fight for this main card. And honorable mention on the prelims. Good job, James Vick in the lightweight division, knocking out Marco Polo Reyes. TKO punches round 1. That was a good win for James Vick, and yeah, he's a tough, durable veteran now, and we'll be seeing a lot more James Vick. I mean, he's already had a great run thus far in the UFC. But yeah, anyways, that wraps up the post-fight show for UFC 211. Stay tuned for my pre-fight, which will be Gustafsson versus Glover Teixeira main card. And until then, see ya.